Hello, welcome to Miss Cowgill's Algebra 1. So, we're going to call this quarter 1, week 1. So, we're going to real quick review graphing linear functions. So, this first video is vocabulary that you will need. So, if you did not bring your math notebook home with you, make sure that you have some kind of notebook where you can take notes. My expectation while you're watching this video is that you'll pause and you'll write down the things that I'm writing down on the screen so that you can have it in your notes, because we're going to have weekly quizzes still. And this week's quiz will just be really short, hopefully really easy. So make sure that if I'm getting farther ahead than you want, you just pause the video. So to start, we know we are graphing linear functions. So first word we're going to talk about today is linear. And we've looked at this word before. We know that linear has this word line in it. So linear functions on a graph, it looks like a straight line. So another important thing that we want to remember about linear functions, all linear functions have what we call slope. So what is slope? We have a lot of ways of describing slope. Slope is basically how slanted up or down is the line. How slanted or steep. Two different ways to think about it. How slanted or steep, up or down, is the line. Slope is just a way to take this idea and give it a number value. And once we understand how that number is calculated, then we can compare slopes of different things and see how much it's increasing, how much it's decreasing. Alright, so one way we talk about slope is using our formula. So slope, we also describe slope as rise over run. Hopefully we've all heard that before, because this should be a review. Rise is how far does it go up or down. Run is how far does it go left or right. So a slope can either be increasing or decreasing. Increasing is going to look like this on a graph. So I'm going to draw a little quick sketch. So here's a little tiny baby graph. And if I have a slope that's increasing, it's going to look like that. You could also think of this as a positive slope. You're going to do just your regular rise over run. You're going to be going up and right. Or if you wanted to go backwards, you could go down and left. Now we also need to talk about decreasing. Decreasing goes the other way. So I'm going to draw another quick little tiny baby graph. Decreasing is going to go slanting down. We also call this a negative slope. So if I give you your slope and it's a fraction, you're going to start out, you're going to go down, and then you're going to go to the right for your rise over run. Or you can go backwards, you can go up, and you can go left. So I switch each one of those. Occasionally, we will have two other options. We will have a slope of 0 and no slope. So, slope of 0. Slope of 0 is just a horizontal line. It's perfectly flat. So if I draw a tiny baby graph example of this one, slope of 0 is going to be a line that's just going perfectly horizontal. This one would be, for example, the line y equals -1. We've talked before, if it's got just a y equals a number, it's going to be a horizontal line. Other option is to have an undefined slope. Undefined slope. So that would be a vertical line. Straight up and down. So if I draw an example of that in my tiny baby graph, it's going to be just a perfectly straight up and down line. Just go straight up and down. So this could have the equation x equals +1. So if it's got just an x on one side and just a number on the other, that will be a vertical line. Okay, we've got just a couple more words to talk about. So I'm going to move over, find some more space to write, and we're going to talk about y-intercept. Y-intercept is the point on the y-axis where the line crosses. It's also where you start when you're graphing a line. So it's the starting point, and then after that you're going to do your rise and your run. So remember, as I'm going through this, please pause the video if I'm getting ahead of you. So y-intercept, point on the y-axis where the line crosses it. It's got coordinates, and that's how we find it. It's also in our slope-intercept form. So the next thing we're going to talk about is slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form. Slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. So y and x, those aren't going to change from line to line, from equation to equation. M is our slope, which is our rise over our run. B is our y-intercept. This is the point where we start. Start with the last number. Start here. Even though it's the last one, this is where you want to start. So y equals mx plus b, we've seen that before. Make sure you have that written down and you remember which number is which. Always start with the last part. So your next video is going to include a couple of examples on graphing this stuff, and then if you have any questions on any of this stuff, make sure that you're writing them down so that when we do our Zoom chats, you can ask and get help on it. Thanks, and hopefully I'll see you soon.